Hey everybody, how you doing? We got some more news about Shedeur Sanders in the run-up to his game against the Rams, due to start any minute now. But the news is that Eric Dickerson, famed running back from the LA Rams, has went on the record stating that Shedeur Sanders was the focus of a smear attempt to keep him from being drafted in at least the first round in the NFL draft, and dropping eventually to where he came up, and that was in the fifth round by the same Cleveland Browns who were expected to take him number two. And we saw that story all along. I wrote that it was a high-tech lynching of in person because he was considered, a black guy who was too proud of himself, among other things. And I saw comments by Pro Football Talk about this, and I will repeat what was reported by Mike Florio and Chris Sims today. And so he says that, first of all, the title is Eric Dickerson claims NFL teams were told not to draft Shedeur Sanders. And the article goes like this: if that fan lawsuit over the draft day freefall of Browns quarterback Shedeur Sanders ever goes anywhere, a Hall of Fame running back could be a star witness. Eric Dickerson recently claimed that teams were told not to draft Sanders. Quote, I tell you this much, what I heard from someone that's in the NFL, that the NFL told teams, don't draft him, do not draft him. Dickerson said on the Roggin and Rodney Show via Christian Arnold of the New York Post. Quote, we're going to make an example out of him. And this claim came from a very good source, So this was a case of the Browns, who created a mess for the league by giving quarterback Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract, going rogue, and not as Derek Dickerson tells it. I won't say who. Somebody called the Cleveland Browns and said, don't do that, draft him, Dickerson said, because they weren't going to draft him either. They were forced into drafting him because someone made a call to them. And Eric Dickerson explained that the original goal was to have Sanders not be drafted at all. He was not going to get drafted, to basically show you this is what happens when you do this, Dickerson said. When I say it came from a good source, I say it came from a very, very good source. Is any of this plausible? Mike Florio asks. He says, at one level, no, and another, maybe. He says, consider this. Sanders fell, we're told, after the draft because he viewed the pre-draft process as he was being recruited, not as he was being interviewed. He was essentially pushing back against the honor and a privilege nonsense. If his approach had been ratified by a high selection in the draft, others may have behaved the same way. And the NFL does not want the cyborgs, like Florio writes, to become self-aware. So it's not crazy, Florio writes. In this hidden until it wasn't collusion ruling, the arbitrator found that the NFL's management council, with the blessing of the commissioner, encouraged teams as a result of the Watson contract to resist fully guaranteed contracts. Would it be nuts to think the league, which has made the draft into a massive offseason tentpole event by perpetuating the notion that is a Harry Potter sorting hat ceremony, will react negatively to any player who doesn't play along? It's a job interview, Florio writes. We hear it every year. Players get poked and prodded and interrogated and scrutinized. For the system to work, the players need to submit. If they ever realize the power that comes from saying it's an honor and a privilege for you to be able to employ us, the whole thing would fall apart. It's all about power, Florio writes. It's all about showing those who don't have power that there are consequences to not yielding the power. Colin Kaepernick learned that lesson. Shedeur Sanders, if Dickerson's source is accurate, knows that lesson, learned that lesson too. The lesson will be repeated until enough players do something to short circuit the entire system, which will never happen if the NFL can help it. So it's not crazy, Mike Florio writes, to think that someone put out the word to send a clear and unambiguous message to Shedeur Sanders. And folks, I am here to tell you, okay, after reading what Florio put out, then you would say, okay, where could I find that? And let me show you where you can find that a bit of news. Um, uh, Excuse me. Right here, and right here, NBC Sports. There it is. It should come up right there, and all you have to do is scroll up here to see it. Right there, right? Shedeur Sanders, excuse me, Eric Dickerson claims NFL teams were told not to draft Shedeur Sanders. Okay, and I think I've got a problem here where I have to now, since I'm going to show you some video, I've got to change my setting here so that you can indeed hear echo cancellation, because I'm going to present to you a video. And what you're about to see next is a video of Geno Smith at the 2013 NFL draft, right after he was drafted. Zenny 62 Media, I was there, front and center. And let me explain to you, I'm going to put echo cancellation, I'm going to put the video up, and then I'm going to put echo cancellation on for a second to tell you what you're about to see. But let me go get the video, stop screen here, and they'll go get it from the list. And there it is, all right? And then it's going to appear here, all right? That's the video. Now, before I change the volume, let me explain what you're about to see. This is the second round, to start the second round of the 2013 NFL Draft. Geno Smith out of West Virginia was one of the top passers, arguably the top passer, coming into the league there. Had thrown for something like 12,000 career yards in college. I interviewed him at what we used to call NFL Place 60, which is held at Chelsea Piers in Manhattan. But word was getting around, and I happened to catch wind of the word at the press conference. So I want you to hear me here. I happened to catch wind of it at the press conference area in the basement of Radio City Music Hall in New York. This was in 2013. And the news was that Geno had fired his agents, and so they had dispatched this news to a particular reporter who I have known very well. And if I drop the name, you'll say, oh, wow, who told me, okay, that the idea was to make it, the agents were so mad that Geno fired them. And he fired them because he expected to go higher in the draft. He fired them when he got wind that he was going to drop. All right? And he fired them while the draft was going on. They immediately used my then friend reporter contact who worked for Bleacher Report, I will say it right there, okay, to get out the news that Geno Smith was temperamental, didn't want to follow orders, was disrespectful. Basically, the kind of uppity black guy tag that Shedeur Sanders was being tarred and feathered with during the 2025 NFL Draft. All right? The result? Geno fell out of the first round. The Jets picked him up. Boom. Start the second round. And so what you're about to hear is Geno Smith talking to the NFL press that's basically stuck around for the second day rather than leaving to find out the fate of Geno Smith. I was one of those people. So let me now go to stop the screen here and then go and get, well, I already had the video up. Excuse me for doing that. But what I'm going to do is also then adjust the volume to turn off echo cancellation so that you can actually hear the video. And echo cancellation is now, well, wasn't it? Okay, so anyway, you're able to hear that. here is Geno Smith right now. And yeah, I was so excited I got mixed up as to where I was for the controls. Like, oh boy, I get this information out. But because it's been sitting here for years, folks, all right? Just waiting for the proper moment, and here it is, all right? The beauty of digital media.
So, Geno, how do you feel? You ready to wreak havoc in the NFL?
That's me talking.
Don't speak too soon, though. Just happy to be here right now, man. It's a dream come true.
What was last night like for you?
It was a test of patience, and to be there with my mom and my family on her birthday, it was a great night. It's a blessing to be here in Radio City Music Hall. I appreciate all the festivities and everything that I was able to take part in because it's once in a lifetime for me.
I know when you left last night, you told Susie Colbert you didn't think you'd be back today. What changed your mind and kind of what brought you back?
You know what? Just talking to all my supporters and everyone who had watched the draft. Everyone from my high school and my university, and everyone just wanted me to remain here and to walk across that stage and to stand up, and represent them all.
How much are you looking forward to knowing that you have the congratulations?
Thank you.
How much are you looking forward to having the opportunity to start day one, especially with that chip on your shoulder now?
You know what, man? Right now, I can't even speak on that. I'm just proud to be a Jet. I talked to Rex Ryan about playing the Jet way, and it's all about building up your teammates and playing as a team, and that's what I'm all about. I'm a selfless guy, and whatever my role is on the team is what I'll accept. But I'm going to come in and compete from day one and be a competitor day in and day out, and just trying to help my team win games.
Talk more about Aaron Rodgers, the tweet that Aaron Rodgers sent you. Talk about how much that meant to you that he's thinking about you.
You know what? I watched that draft, and I watched Aaron go through that, and it's kind of ironic that you see that and then you're put in that position. And like I said, it was just a test of patience. And, I'm a patient guy. All of those guys who got picked ahead of me are deserving, so there's no bitterness towards them or any of those teams. I'm just ready to get in and play football again.
Hey, Geno, who called you first when you picked up the phone? Who called you first?
John Isnick called me. Was able to talk to Coach Ryan. Me and Coach Morning Wade and Coach Lee built a good rapport over the course of this process. But I'm going to go in and get to work.
Did any of them advise you maybe not to comment on the quarterback situation with the Jets? Did any of those guys advise you not to comment on the quarterback situation?
No, not at all.
Geno, yesterday when you're back in the green room, hearing Geno chants from the Jets fans both the times that they were on the clock, and again tonight right before they actually picked you, coming out there, seeing them, you looked like you had a sigh of relief as soon as you stepped on stage. What was that moment like?
It was just a once-in-a-lifetime moment, man. I can't even explain it. I've done so many things in my life, but I don't think any of them amount to what I've just experienced out there. I'm proud to be a Jet. Everything that I've been to up until this point is extremely, I think it's extremely an extreme blessing for me and my family because it only happens once.
Do you have all this criticism that you talk about and stuff like that when you go to New York? That's one of those things that you're going to face day in and day out. I mean, how do you think that this is maybe prepared for this?
You know what? That's the NFL, and that's the position of quarterback, and I've played this position all my life, so I understand that it comes with the territory, and I'm prepared for it.
Geno, you ran spread offense at West Virginia. Morning Wave runs West Coast offense. How well can you adjust on there?
You know what? I'm going to put the work in. I'm going to try my best to put myself in a position to be productive and help my team win games. I believe that my skill set is one that can be translated into any style of offense. So as long as I continue to be myself and to work extremely hard, I think I'll be fine.
Did they say anything about wanting to get more movement from the quarterback? Kind of like a lot of the more modern quarterbacks like Cam Newton and so on.
No, we haven't discussed any of that yet. Right now it's just feeling the gratitude, just extremely proud of it.
Geno, Eddie Lacy talked about bringing two students in the assistant games as a contingency plan. Did you bring extra corners or did you?
I didn't. My mom actually went out and bought this today. Picked out one seat, and I expected to go yesterday. sure that I came out here and I continued to represent, and I was going to wait till my name be called.
Where'd she get it?
I don't even know. It's nice. It's nice.
What was your family's reaction?
Oh man, my mother was in tears. She burst out in tears. She tried to make me cry, but I was able to hold on.
You have to give her a belated birthday card now, or how does that?
Oh no. I mean, yesterday was amazing. We exchanged gifts prior to the draft, and she just expressed how gratifying it was for her to finally see me, living out my dream.
Why did you not want to?
Excuse me?
Why did you not want to come back yesterday?
There was never an issue of me not wanting to come back. I declined interviews last night because I was going out with my mother. I left a little early. There was kind of a big deal made about it, but we just got out of there. I knew I wasn't going to be picked at the end of the first round, so just wanted to make sure that I got her out of there before the media was able to get all up in her face.
Because, that was interpreted.
Yeah, I understand that. And the position that I'm in, everything's going to get analyzed, and some things may be overblown, but it's not my job to worry about those things. I've got a job at hand right now, and the Jets selected me to come in and hopefully be their quarterback, so I'm going to come in and compete.
The Jets have had a real media circus around them ever since Tim Tebow joined last year. What was your impression of that, looking from the outside, and what do you think it'll be like to be in the midst of that?
You know what? Those things are, I think, part of the NFL. I don't know whether it's good or bad. I can't really assess that. It's really up to the coaches. But I know that I'm going to be a part of the 2013 squad, and my job is to come in from day one.
Do you know Mark Sanchez at all? Have you guys ever met or interacted? How about Tim?
I visited Florida when I was very recruited, so I was able to meet him, but nothing real personal.
Geno, can you talk about what you were thinking when Tagon went top 10? What was going to do that?
I'm just proud for him, man. He deserves it. The guy works hard. Is an extremely talented player, and I think he's going to do great things with the Rams.
Geno, you started last year as the prohibitive favorite for the Heisman Trophy. West Virginia was making a big move to the Big 12. How do you evaluate what happened last year, and how much of it had to do with you, how much of it had to do with the defense?
Well, last season was one that was pretty much up and down for us. We started off hot. Obviously, we didn't do so well towards the end of the season, but like I said, it's just a test of character and leadership, and I think I handled all those things well. As far as offense, defense goes, it's a team thing, and the team wins and the team loses. It's not a one-man deal or a one-side deal. So I'll never put my defense down. It's our job to score more points than the other team, and we didn't do that on many occasions. So just got to improve on it, continue to get better, and just trust my coaching and work the same way I've always worked.
As you were walking on stage, you didn't smile when you first got out. It looked like you were intense. What were you thinking?
You know what? I'm just that type of guy. It's not that I don't smile. It's just that I kind of took that to heart. The things that happened yesterday. But I'm not going to sit here and say it's something that I'll use as fuel or extra motivation, because I'm already motivated, and just being in this position is one that's a blessing for me. So I'm going to smile as much as I can, but at the same time remember all the things that happened.
It looked like when Roger came out and he put his hand out, you were like, no, I get the hug. Was that kind of, was that what would happen?
You know what, man, I wanted us to hug him. I didn't know how to feel, man. It's just one of those things that you got to go through, and you never know what's going to happen. But I'm just, like I said, I'm just extremely blessed to be here and extremely happy to be in this position.
What did Dana tell you as everything was kind of unfolding yesterday?
He just told me to stay strong, continue to smile, keep my head up, and just trust everything that I've done up until this point. Obviously, it's tough to sit in the green room for that long, but you know what? It doesn't even matter anymore.
Take one more question.
Did you view the Jets as a great opportunity from a quarterback depth chart position standpoint?
You know what? I always, like I said all along, whichever team decided to take me and decided to bring me in as a guy, maybe a franchise guy, maybe a project. You never know how the situation may end. But to be a Jet is a dream come true for me. I've been watching football my entire life, and the Jets have one of the most storied organizations in the NFL. So I'm just elated, and ready to get to work.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Geno.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, and so that was Geno's presentation there, and I'm gonna put this on. Make sure I've got the volume. And so, and as you can see, he was happy to get, essentially just happy to get drafted. But he fell to the second round. And again, that story about him was planted to destroy by his agents, who were upset that he came off like, well, Mr. Important, Mr. I am angry because you guys basically sandbagged my opportunity to be drafted high in the first round, and so I'm firing you. And they said, well, okay, you're not going to go anywhere. And they made they made news out of it, and in the middle of the draft. That's precisely what they did. And they had an impact. It caused him to fall and fall and fall and fall and fall at in a way not unlike what happened to Shedeur Sanders, but Shedeur Sanders fell even more. Okay, and he and Geno learned the hard way. And I talked to Geno about this. I talked about it. I warned him about the news when I found out about it. Okay, early on, and I told him he was very happy that I did that. About who was behind the smear campaign against him. So he was essentially prepared for it. Now, if you want some ratification regarding what I'm telling you, aside from me saying, hey, like I was there and everything, all you have to do is what I just did right here, and I will show it to you. And that's you can go to Google if you wish, and all you have to do is type Geno Smith NFL Draft 2013 fired his agents right here. You can see it. All right, and I will expand it for you so that you get even better look at what's written here, and expand it again, and then that's good enough right there. And it reads, yes, Geno Smith fired his agents at Select Sports after the 2013 NFL Draft. It was actually during. This is what says it's accurate. It was actually during, okay? And they say it's because he fell to the second round, all right? And that's not what happened, okay? All right, and although Geno stated the decision wasn't solely about one incident, he expected to be a first-round pick, possibly even number one pick, and felt his agents were to blame for his draft slide and significant loss of guaranteed money. And this is not what happened. All right, and so Liz Mullen said it fired after fall. No, what happens is that there was a report, okay. And see, this is Yahoo Sports. This is May 1st. This is pre-draft actions. All right. So Yahoo got it right. Geno Smith's firing of agents, pre-draft actions, shed light on why QB may have dropped. All right. It's right here in black and white. Less than a week after the New York Jets picked Geno Smith in the second round of the NFL Draft, the quarterback is still under great scrutiny in league circles. Reports surfaced Tuesday. Now, I already talked about this, all right? That Smith fired agents Jeff Naley and Eric Burkhart of Select Sports, while Smith has publicly denied that had anything to do with his falling out of the draft's first round last week. There are indications to the contrary. And they say that April 23rd, Smith and his agents, some family members and several friends gathered for dinner in New York in advance of the draft, a gathering confirmed by a family member. At one point, everyone around the table stood to give a toast to celebrate the evening. Smith went last, thanking everyone and declaring that the entire group, his agents included, were a family that would stay together his entire career. And so, if not the rest of his life, the source said Smith, who at one point was expected to be number one overall pick, and this is where things got weird. as a top 10 selection, has big plans for his career. Smith, according to sources, hoped to emulate players such as Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers, so on. The problem is that NFL types see a guy who right now doesn't understand how to get there. And then they said they were talking about how biggest problem is that he doesn't know what he doesn't know. So the league executive who spent time assessing Smith, I'm not sure he knows how to take instruction because he pretty much wouldn't listen or talk to our coaches. He's talented. He can sling it. He can fit in the tight spots. He can do a lot of things. All right. And he says where Smith was. And so what happens is that they talk about what was said about him, but they didn't talk about when the agents were fired. Geno fired his agents in the middle of the draft. And that's where this report is 100% wrong. Okay. Geno fired his agents in the middle of the draft. Okay. In the middle of the draft, because the key report on Geno Smith's behavior is not part of what I just sent to you. And that's from Bleacher Report. Perhaps Bleacher Report took it down. But the bottom line is it doesn't come up in search high if it's there at all. The fact of the matter is that, and I bear witness to this because I was in the draft room when the person who wrote the article told me that that's what they were going to write about. Understand? Okay. So I got it straight from the horse's mouth. And I'm thinking, wow. Okay. They had recruited my then friend to sandbag Geno Smith. All right. They were Jeff Naley and Eric Burkhart. Jeff Naley and Eric Burkhart recruited my friend to spread rumors about Geno Smith, about his attitude after he fired them. Okay. And the reason was it became clear to him that he wasn't going to be picked number one. He expected to go number one, or at least in the top 10, but that didn't happen. Okay? And so all the scuttlebutt started unfolding. But no one wants to admit that because no one wants to put out there that it was his agents who were sandbagging him. They didn't want to do that, but that was the fact. Jeff Naley and Eric Burkhart, they were out for blood because Geno had fired them, and they wanted to show him who was tough. Okay, that's what happened. They didn't want Geno Smith essentially reverse boying them. In other words, him saying, "Hey, boy, this is what I expected. You didn't deliver, and therefore I'm firing you." Geno fired them not after the draft, but in the middle of the draft. Okay? In the damn middle of the first round of the NFL draft, boom, he fired them. Word didn't get out until later. I'd already known it. All right? But hey, who follows Zenny62, right? I already knew it. And you can ask Geno. If you have any doubts about what I'm telling you, go to Geno Smith directly if he wants to talk to you about it at all. Okay? Because they had no business treating him that way. But that's what they did. All right? This wasn't some clean matter of, well, you went in the second round. Oh, now you're fired. No, No. That's not the case at all, folks. So I'm saying to you, and I'm saying to Eric Dickerson and everybody else, Eric Dickerson is right. Because that's what happens in the draft. You piss off the wrong person. They've got enough information about you as a player to basically screw up your life, or at least make it pretty difficult for a time if your focus is getting a right opportunity with the right team at the right price that you want. That didn't happen for Geno Smith at the time because they perceived him as an uppity black guy telling them what to do and firing them in the middle of the draft. That word got around like like nobody's business. And it's too bad that the late Bill Chackus isn't alive to confirm it because he was there with me. All right. I'm going to talk more about this later. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and bookmark ZennyReport.com and NFL News by Zenny62.com, which is actually being refurbished right now. We've changed servers, folks. We'll see ya. Hey, by the way, Mike Florio, let's talk. We'll see ya.